True Sound Studios is in your ears.
Okay, so we got a new project today. This is the artist Redeemer. I'll include a link in the description. Loaded all the tracks in here, and so now I'm just going to kind of, first of all, just rearrange them. Looks like, I'm assuming this is the beat, and one of the first things we got to do with this beat is got to make sure I time match it so that it starts on the same time the project does. There we go. And now I'll turn on the metronome. Looks like it's not on, which is not. So we got a pretty good level right over here. It's hitting about somewhere around -5. Yeah, -5.2. So that might be a little bit much. I just turned the gain down a little bit. We can obviously always bring it back up, but most importantly, I want the vocals to really cut. Obviously, every beat, every project is different, so things like that we can't really fix. So he sent all of these files as stereo, and I'm going to go ahead and assume that they're not. Turn off the metronome again.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants.
Yeah, so they're all mono. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just right click, convert to mono, and ooh, it looks it's a loud one. And then let's go ahead and listen to this.
Powers, we're all mutant.
Yep, that's mono. And it's just kind of easy to tell if there's no like stereo width going on. I know that it was a mono file at one point. Okay, so I reorganized all these tracks, and so now we're going to really kind of get into the nitty-gritty of what needs to go on with all these.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants.
Okay, so now that we're ready to go ahead and start manipulating these vocals, I'm going to go ahead and turn on some of this outboard gear that is connected to the console. And then over here, we got some channels that are muted just, because of the analog gear when you turn things on. So let's go ahead and take a listen to this.
Unleash your superpowers.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice and loud now. Okay, so now we're going to start playing around with stuff, and let's start with this main vocal here.
We're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance. Being regular.
So you can just see it's just a really loud vocal, so we're going to go ahead and pull this down a little bit more.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance.
There is auto-tune on there right now. We're not going to... We might have auto-tune on it in the end. I might melodyne it also. So first, I'm going to go ahead and use the Waves Vocal Rider. It's kind of one of my first things that I always throw in the vocal chain.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance.
So we don't really need that to work too fast. I just want it to kind of like start reacting to things. And then here we got a de-esser.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants.
Oh, that's where we're losing all of our S's.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance.
Okay, that's getting better. And then we got the Pultec EQ.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance.
So like I was saying before, I try to keep these settings from other projects to help things out, but as you can see, I'm pretty much going to have to adjust everything one song to the next. Pretty much things always seem to change.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance. Being regular, ooh, that's...
So it sounds like I got some EQ going on somewhere else. So let's go over here to the vocal bus, and So I don't. Let's go ahead and I'm going to just mute the vocal parallel compression bus. Something's going on here.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance. Being regular.
So there's like a S in the voice. It's not like a high S, but it's some resonant frequency that I'm just trying to get rid of right now.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants.
So it sounds like it was somewhere around 5K potentially. So let's go ahead and let's work on the next compressor to see if we can help control this a little more.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance.
That's getting better. It's starting to sound a little bit more natural.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants.
As you can see, this is a really fast compressor, so this is helping to take off some of that junk that happens in the very beginnings of words, words that pretty much have too much attack on them. Little roll off on the end there, and then kill a little bit more of that 5K potentially that we had that noise issue with.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash.
So that's actually not it. So I'm going to open up a frequency analyzer, kind of listen and see what's going on.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants.
So it's right there. It's 5,500. Nope. 4,000. 4K. So let's go ahead back to our EQ. And that actually was the problem frequency before. So this artist, whatever microphone they're using, it's picking up some sort of 4K thing going on. So what I did is end up boosting a little 10K on the pull tech. We'll pull down 4K right here, a really narrow band, using this very simple EQ. And
superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance.
okay, so now that we got all that kind of situated, last thing I got a C4. This is a multi-band compressor. So let's see if I even need this though.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants.
I think for this we're going to leave it off. Don't know if I need it on this vocal particularly this time. I did last time. I used it at the very end of the chain. So okay, so let me go ahead and play around with this a little bit, and I'll come back with you guys and we'll kind of have like a final vocal sound that we can use those same plugins and how I'm sending it off to the console, which then runs to a DBX compressor, to a API right here, API 550 EQ, and then it ultimately comes back to the console and then goes to the bus compressor, and we'll record it back into the DAW. So yeah, just let me play around with this and I'll come back and we'll kind of take a good listen to this vocal and we'll work on some of the other tracks. Okay, so I got all the vocals to sound just much better, you know, with EQ and compression and just changing some of those settings. So if you just take a listen to the intro here.
Unleash your superpowers, unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers.
So that big tag comes in, and so I kind of chopped that vocal because you couldn't hear it anyways. But so we're going to start with the hook here.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants.
Okay, so that is the hook of the track. I figured out the key of the song, which was in E flat minor. So I threw some auto tune on there just to help get it in tune for right now, and then I'm going to go ahead and actually tune them manually just so this hook sounds a little better. Obviously, you know, the hook is like the big huge part. So kind of leads me to the next thing I want to do. Right now there's only this one vocal. There's some backup stuff that happens, but it's nothing major. So what I want to do is pretty much want to copy this, but I want to copy this with all the you know, essentially what I've done to it so far with all the EQ and compression. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another track, just a blank track. But what I'm going to do is on my vocal track here, my main vocal track, I'm going to turn off the reverb and delay that I added to it. I'm actually going to bounce this down. So it means I'm going to put all the effects, everything that is on this vocal right now, including the auto-tune, is going to get mixed down to a file. So all the auto-tune, compression, EQ, all that stuff I did to it, minus the effects, are now going to be right up here. It's going to create a brand new track for me. So it's already processed. And this is what we're going to start. Maybe we'll make 1 or 2 harmonies out of this, maybe pitched up an octave and down an octave, or maybe we'll find some thirds or fifths that work, and just make this hook sound just even bigger. Now this is not mixing anymore. This is really more like production work. So the client does pay extra for the production stuff because you know, essentially they have a great idea, they got some good vocals, but just more stuff is generally required now, kind of industry standard for, you know, what we're all so used to listening as such big productions. So, but anyways, so I made my copy of my track. Okay, so that's first. Right now it's getting routed to the master bus. It needs to go to the vocal bus that comes back out onto the console over here and then runs to the analog gear over there. So that gets routed to this channel.
Superpowers, we're all mutants, being regular.
So right now, if I just play it, it's literally just a clone of it. And I actually put that down 2.2 decibels, so...
Unleash your superpowers.
Yeah, so right now we get that like weird phasing effect. So first thing I'm going to do is one of my secrets, vocal doubler, pretty much changes everything I do. Kind of roll off a little bit of the high end. Nice little preset there.
We're all mutants. Unleash your superpower.
So what it does is this vocal doubler just really helps leave that main vocal down the center, and then right and left is going to be this doubled vocal now.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers.
So now that we have that going on, we doubled it. So now, like I said, so we got the main vocal down the center, and then we'll have this, what we're working on right now, left and right. So it's just going to create a really big width in this chorus here. And then we're going to use a pitch shifter. I love using this, the little altar boy. I'm going to have to change the order of that. So this is... obviously this is down the octave.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Take it or leave it, that's my 2 cents. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants.
So that is, I think that's a fifth.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Take it or leave it, that's my 2 cents. Unleash your superpowers, we're all...
Okay, so it sounds like that third actually works a little better. So what I'm going to do is just be really decisive and know that that is going to work most of the time. So I can actually go ahead and just kind of do the same thing as I did before, but this time I'm going to use the freeze button. And it's essentially going to take that little altar boy and that doubler and just make a permanent track out of it. And what I can do then is kind of chop up this and some of the other harmonies just to kind of really make a great vocal sound. And what I can do is when I unclick this, it goes right back to where it was so that I can go ahead and make another harmony. So this time we'll do the octave up.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants.
What I really should have done is flip this doubler around. Right now the detune is not too much and we don't want it to sound exactly the same. So I'm actually going to just kind of put them in reverse this time. And now we can freeze it. so that the pitching is a little different from the left and the right on the one, and then the other one will just be reversed. So now we got that. Create one more track. Probably should label these two. So this was V harm. So vocal harmony. We'll just do vocal harmony 1. And then this will be vocal harmony. And we can label this one octave because it's kind of easy to remember. And then this last one, we'll just kind of leave alone, but we'll put it down the octave. And this one we'll just leave as is so that I can mix that in the way I want. And let's just go ahead and listen to what these sound like.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance.
So it sounds kind of cool because, you know, the chorus is release your superpowers, we're all mutants. So
Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance. Unleash your superpowers.
so by doing this, you know, we're kind of making this mutated effect. And also, I think we could probably use an EQ to even scoop out a little bit more of the mids, just to kind of give this track a little something different.
Superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Being regular, ooh, that's a...
Yeah, so we're kind of leaving a little bit of the crispness, taking out some of that mid-range, so we kind of get a little bit more effect and not as much vocal.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants.
And then if we add in the octave up, we get this.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance.
And what I think we're going to do is chop this up so that that higher octave only comes in, you know, on certain phrases, so it's not just going on the entire time. Like maybe halfway through this hook.
Superpowers, we're all mutants. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance. Unleash your superpowers.
So something like that. And I'm just going to go through and kind of perfect this and make sure that this chorus sounds big, huge, and it has multiple voices going on that kind of alternate so that, you know, it doesn't sound boring. It's not just 4 vocal effects on top of each other. Okay, guys, so like I was saying before, manually tuning is something I really like to do. I just feel like you have more control over, you know, how much auto-tune sound you want or how natural you want the vocals to sound. So just open up Melodyne. Melodyne is pretty much like manual tune. So Melodyne right there. Amazing program. Could not mix without this. So first thing, I think it actually guessed the key correctly. It's E flat minor. Yep, right there, E flat minor. So it knows the key of the song, so I can go ahead and go to correct pitch, snap to E flat minor, pull all the notes perfectly in pitch. So let me go ahead and play this.
Unleash, unleash, unleash the beast. Unleash, unleash, we.
So that's too low. So what's great about Melodyne is you can just individually move any of these notes, and then you know what I need to do? Snap to grid. We want to snap only to the notes that are in the key of the song. See, it's skipping over some of the notes.
Unleash, unleash, we need peace. Unleash, unleash, we need peace. We need.
Then you can actually fix the pitch drift, which is actually like, it's really more of the pitch of the note that you're hearing. The blob is only kind of represented by the volume, and it's not everything. The blob isn't everything.
Unleash, unleash, unleash the beast. Unleash, unleash, we need
Unleash on.
peace. Unleash, unleash, we need peace. I see the pain, make the pain go. Pain, see. I see the pain, make the pain go. See. I see the pain, make the pain go. Pain.
See, the toughest part about this is I don't know exactly what the singer sang or intended on, so kind of got to use my best judgment to to guess on the correct notes that they were trying to sing.
I see the pain, make the pain go. Baby girl, go.
See, like that to me sounds better, even though it's probably not what he was singing, but obviously we're trying to make things better, and you can always go back and fix it.
Baby girl, like a rainbow. You bring the joy.
And then this big long note, you can see, instead of just correcting the crap out of it, you can actually chop it up like I did so we can fix these notes a little better. Just try to keep it as natural, but also in tune. Now there's a vocal run he did down here that we're going to have a little fun with.
You bring the joy. You bring the light. You bring the joy. That's the light.
So that is actually all in key now, but it might not be exactly what sounds the best. So let's first go ahead and, first of all, this note, I don't know what is going on here. Let's fix that. So he's hitting, it's an E flat, so it's definitely not the octave. Let's play around with this. There we go. And like this note, that just doesn't even sound good. Bring it up. That sounds good. Yeah, much better. Let me fix the pitch on this. And like that, I don't think is right either. You feel me, oh yeah. I think that's it. So what I'll do is just go ahead and listen to this a few times. Also what I did with the verse vocal is I know it's going to be tough to see, but there is, let's look over here. There is a vocal bus right here. And this is actually sending signal over to this bus, which is a whole bunch of tuning plugins. So we got, once again, the pitch shifter up an octave, auto tune on cranked full, a doubler and a de-esser, and I'm just sending essentially a second signal over to this vocal bus, so we can just add in how much octave vocal I want, because it's going to be for multiple tracks, and it just makes a little less work to not have to do this for every single track, and it'll also keep things nice and cohesive from verse to verse. So just sending this over to here and adding in an octave vocal on this, so you can hear this real quick.
Unleash the beast. Unleash, we need peace.
And then without it,
pain, make the pain go. Baby girl, like a rainbow.
Put it back on.
You bring the joy.
Just something cool and fun to just to make this vocal sound a little bit more mutant-like. Okay, I'm gonna keep editing and I'll come back with you guys soon. So about, I don't know, maybe 2.5 hours in to this mix and produce session. Got the choruses pretty much exactly the way I want. I'll play that really quick.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance.
for that hook, that chorus part, what I end up doing is I got the main vocal, which is this.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants.
Then I added in the harmony, that was this.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants.
And then I added in, and these are all harmonies I made, and then I made this octave.
Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance.
And then I made an octave down. And as you can see, they all come in at different spots. The mutants part at the really low octave comes in just on the few words, just to help reinforce. And then these come in at the second half of each, I guess, 2 parts of the chorus. And these come in the second half of each part. Probably not the easiest thing to hear. I also set up the analog bus compressor. We'll take a look at this right now. So that is roughly 2-3 decibels of reduction, that like SSL glue type sound. So yeah, things are going together really well though. Just came back from lunch and I'm really just trying to finish up the last part of the song here. It goes into a second verse and it's going to go into the last chorus right here. And I added these like little chops on the beat here that just kind of helps lead in the hook. So just really simply just took a kick drum right out of the beat and just chopped it up and made 4 little individual hits. And so it just kind of leads in and also fades in a little bit. Just kind of helps pull the chorus back in. It doesn't make it seem like such a drastic change. Also, another thing that's cool about that is I like to use a lot of reverse cymbals and crash stuff to like pull things in and out. But when you use chops like that, you know, you don't really have to do that. So it's another transition that, you know, doesn't always happen, because I did the reverse cymbal here coming out of the first verse. And then towards the end of the first verse, I took the beat and added this EQ on here, where I'm scooping out a whole bunch of the highs.
That's the line.
You know, just to help, you know, make it all feel like it comes together in the end is really obviously is my goal. So as you can see, all the chops and cuts, and I even started cutting up the beat. We got the intro chords, intro vocals, sorry, and then we got the hooks and the verses, and you know, a whole bunch of bussing going on over here. And then also all the vocals run through the mixing console. So if I turn this down, you can see we got the beat coming on these 2 channels, and then these 5 channels are all for vocals, parallel compression. So all I'm going to do is really just copy in the last chorus and make sure the song ends, you know, in some cool way. And there's just a couple little outro vocals I'm going to end up having to go ahead and melodyne also. And then for the most part, this will be done, and I'll give you guys a final listen of this track. The only problem is when I listen back to it, even with all the vocals that I did for the chorus and this like effects crash and some of the stuff, it just doesn't feel big enough. And I think that's because the beat, I think we're going to look at the beat. The beat really doesn't ever change much. There's never anything that like really feels like it like lifts up in the chorus. So what I'm going to do is I just threw on a synth here, Silent, one of my favorite synths to use. And I'm going to add some sort of, I don't know, maybe lead or something in the hook here. Okay, this is it. I got it.
Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance. Being regular, ooh, that's a nuisance. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Take it or leave it, it's not 2 cents. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash.
Awesome. So let me go ahead and just edit that up real quick.
Take it or leave it, it's not 2 cents. Unleash your superpowers, we're all mutants. Unleash.
Okay, so the track is what I consider to be done. Everything has been, you know, EQ'd, compressed, automation, you name it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the track, and once again it's going to come through the converters, into the console, into all the analog gear that was hooked up or used through the bus compressor and recorded back into Cakewalk. And I actually used these Polk audio speakers for this playback because it needs to be much quieter, because you can see here we're pushing the master volume almost to 0 to get a good playback level. So I'll just show you, we'll go to the chorus because it's the biggest part of the track. You can see our level here, just about clipping up top there. And then over here, if I press record, getting about somewhere right around -5 decibels, and that'll be good. So I'm going to go ahead and just record the entire track, or what I call the summed mix, and I'll be able to send this off to the client. So I just go ahead and press record and really just let it play, and just make sure I pay attention to the end, and that'll be it for the first mix. So thank you for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, click that like button and consider subscribing for more content. So not only do I make YouTube videos, but I also produce tracks, and I can mix and master your music. So once again, thank you for watching this video. I'm Weezna, and True Sound Studios is in your ears.